So I'm inside the cemetery now, Evergreen Cemetery, which is right next to the Soldiers National Cemetery, where Lincoln gave the address, standing at the grave of Jennie Wade, the only civilian casualty of the Battle of Gettysburg. She was struck down by a Confederate sharpshooter or possibly a stray bullet while baking bread in a house just down the street on the Baltimore Pike. The house today is a museum. You can go inside and tour it. It's very, very cool. In fact, the bullet holes are still visible in the door. Went through the door and killed Jennie Wade. The story goes beyond that because her grave is less than 100 yards from the monument that depicts the location of the site where Lincoln supposedly gave the Gettysburg Address. But is that really the location where the platform was? That's a very good question. Now, it's worth noting that Jennie Wade is one of only 2 females that has the honor of a perpetual flag, meaning that the flag never comes down, it stays up all night. The other female with this honor in the United States of America is Betsy Ross. So quite an honor for Jennie Wade, the only civilian casualty of the Battle of Gettysburg. But we're still in Evergreen Cemetery. I wanted to put some eyeballs on this for you. I'm gonna walk over to where the monument is that represents the area where Abraham Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address on November 19th, 1863. Okay, and here it is, less than 100 yards away. Just on the other side of this wrought iron fence over in the Soldiers National Cemetery is the monument that depicts where Lincoln gave the address. That's where for so many decades they thought it was, but over the years they have figured out that it probably wasn't right there. In fact, recent research puts the actual stage or the platform right here where this rhododendron bush is. Now, what they did in that research is they trianglified the available photos and created a triangle of angles that puts the platform right here. I don't know, about 30 to 40 yards from the actual monument. So they think it actually was here where it straddled the fence. Okay, there wasn't a fence here then, but the fence is there now to separate Evergreen Cemetery from the Soldiers National Cemetery. That's where they now believe the actual address took place, where the platform actually was. But then I got to thinking, you know, if you recall those photos, the one specifically with the mob of people around Abraham Lincoln as he's coming down off the platform, and that mob of people, if the platform was there where that rhododendron bush is today, there would have been gobs of people all crowded into this area. And what strikes me is that there are graves back here. Remember, this was a graveyard then too, at least Evergreen was. The Soldiers National Cemetery was being dedicated by Lincoln, but look at the graves over here. Okay, Anna Maria died March 9, 1852. There's another Anna Maria, wife of J.L. Martin, died March 26, 1854. You've got Perry Rice here. Perry Rice died 1845. So I'm thinking to myself, does that sound right? Would they dedicate this national cemetery right here? In other words, all the people that were gathered around would be standing all over the graves that were here then. Now, many of them came later, but a lot of these graves were here from the 30s, 40s, 1850s, and early 1860s. So I wonder, it just doesn't seem that they would have done that and be standing on all these graves, but maybe they did, I don't know. And then a park ranger did point out to me that it is possible that some of these people have been reinterred here after the Gettysburg Address, but I guess we'll never know. But anyway, I can't believe that when they were pulling apart the platform, which happened right away, that someone didn't mark the spot with a stake or a rock or something. That just blows my mind that we're still trying to figure this out. Now, I believe there's a way to figure this out, and I believe we eventually will. And that may be it there. But for now, it will just remain another mystery in history. So there's a really cool monument here that marks the spot here in the National Cemetery at Gettysburg where Lincoln gave the famous address. We actually believe it was about 40 yards behind the monument. But anyway, you get the idea. This is where it happened. Now, if you look back in history, we have no photos of Lincoln at Gettysburg. And you'd think, well, why would that be? Well, there's actually one. We think it's him coming down off the platform. His head is kind of positioned down. We're pretty sure it's him, but we often wonder why there are no other photos of Lincoln at Gettysburg. And it's because Lincoln followed the most famous orator in America of the day, Edward Everett. Everett was the governor of Massachusetts. He was a U.S. senator. He was the most famous orator in the country today. He was the guest speaker. Lincoln was a polite afterthought, but Everett spoke for 2 hours. He sat down and Lincoln got up to speak. And people thought, including the photographers that were here, they thought Lincoln was going to go on forever. And so they thought they had time to get their cameras and equipment ready, when in fact Lincoln stood up and uttered 272 words. 2 minutes was all Lincoln gave, but they were the most profound words ever spoken by a U.S. president. The photographers just weren't ready for the brevity of Lincoln's speech, and that's the power of Abraham Lincoln. He could say so much with so few words, and the Gettysburg Address is the very best example. think it's time to wrap it up. Now, the battlefields were packed today, but not too many takers tonight.